Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst, the one and only great Malabite, Emmanuel Efeni.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning.
How was church yesterday?
Yes, great.
I hope the tithes came in.
Tithes will always go to the pastors. If you don't like it, go and be a pastor. Well, good morning, everybody.
Bless you, sir.
Well, Ruben, we are here talking of $10 and others in the boardroom making the billions.
Yes.
But we're all contributing to the development of the nation. Kudos to $10 for expanding its frontiers.
Don't worry, you too may become a billionaire one day.
Don't put it past me. But we congratulate $10. We're looking forward to what he will do with Geregu power, because we need more power. Generating more power is key, but how to evacuate it, not within his purview. And I'm sure along the line they will deal with all that. Now, the review of today's newspaper. We'll start with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Obi Meets Muslims, says Nigeria is one, only divided by politics, declares he never discriminated against anyone on religious basis. Buala queries exclusion of Igbo from Tinubu's inauguration committee, says it signposts marginalization, lack of vision. APC dissolved presidential campaign council. Yes, Peter Obi, the candidate of the Labour Party, visiting Muslims in Onitsha. We've always known that Peter Obi not one to use to discriminate on the basis of religion, but of course his traducers try to make that an issue in the course of the campaign. Even when the campaign is over, he has done the needful by also visiting Muslims in his state, where when he was governor, of course everybody felt comfortable, whether you're Christian, Muslim, indigene or non-indigene. And that's Peter Obi for you. But the other leg of the story there, Buala queries exclusion of Igbos. Yes, it is easy to say, yes, we know Buala is a mouthpiece of the opposition party. But looking at the message, I think there is something there for everybody to take home. If it was an oversight by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, not to have an Igbo man in that 13-man transition committee, then he had better correct it. Otherwise, it signposts what is to come. As they say, the evening is determined by what happens in the morning. We don't want to remember the talk of those who voted 5% and those who voted 95% should not expect the same level of treatment. And I hope this is something Bola Ahmed Tinubu will quickly address, because he has always referred to himself as the one who involved the Igbos in governance in Lagos. So, despite what transpired in the run-up to the general election, he did not say much when people were being profiled. To add this to the mix, then it's not good optics. And I hope his handlers, I don't mean those who are ready at any moment to champion divisive tendencies. His handlers who know better should draw his attention and perhaps right the wrong. Of course, there's a story there. Falike confirms Tinubu's returns today, mobilizes welcome. Yes, Falike, one of the issues Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, will deal with immediately he returns. Of course, the leadership of the 10th National Assembly. Nigerian Tribune reporting speakership slots. Tinubu's romance with PDP, NNPP leaders threatens opposition gang-up. Minority caucuses await APC's zoning arrangement. Yes, the numbers in the House of Representatives, those who have been elected to the 10th National Assembly, yes, APC has 175 seats in that house. But the opposition, if they can pull their acts together, they have 181. Clearly, if they can work as one block, then they can produce the next speaker of the House of Representatives, not the ruling party. But it takes a lot to pull that through. And words out there, according to the Nigerian Tribune, is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is already one step forward, trying to talk to PDP leaders, NNPP leaders, so that gang up, you want to call it, alliance, you will not work for the opposition parties to produce the next speaker. But no matter what you say, the opposition party will have a serious weighing in whoever emerges as the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the 10th National Assembly. We'll keep a watching brief. Now, the Guardian newspaper, rising poverty, cost dampening eSIM adoption, impact on Nigeria's card production. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, global competitiveness, over 30 taxes choke industries in Nigeria. 17 bills on more levies pending in the National Assembly. Taxes above global average of 23.37%. SMEs lose 9% of yearly income. Stakeholders chart way forward. Yes, Nigeria, the tax burden on companies, industries, and there are more on the way. How do you talk about ease of doing business when you have so much taxes on industries, companies, and there are more on the way? Perhaps it's one of those issues the next president will deal with also. But you only need to look at what is happening in Lagos State. If that is a template, then you know what is to come. The New Telegraph newspaper, ignore NANS, stay indoors. Federal government tells Nigerian students in crisis reading Sudan. While the Punch newspaper, reporting also the Sudan story, Sudan conflict. Government seeks Egypt's support to rescue 5,500 Nigerians by road. Federal government warns as Nigerian students pay $100 for dangerous road. We are waiting for Sudanese government to provide safe corridor for evacuation. Minister, yes, and of course the Daily Trust also reporting that story. Federal government begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians tomorrow. 5,500 waiting for government action. Students move to Ethiopia. Cry for rescue. Airlines bypass airspace. And the Nation newspaper also has that story. Nigerian students lament ordeal in crisis-torn Sudan. The Abuja Inquirer, which also has that story, Sudan crisis, evacuation risky now. Federal government tells Nigerian students. NANS peg $200 evacuation. US, UK, lift embassy staff. Now, if we just look at the foreign newspapers quickly. The Times of London. Corbyn allies sparks new Labour row over racism. Dane Abbott suspended for remark about Jews. Yes, the future of Dane Abbott and the Labour Party was in doubt after she was disciplined for claiming Jewish people could not suffer from racism. Of course, Labour Party and racism issues. Of course, that was what dogged the era of Jeremy Corbyn. Now he's rearing his head again. Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, of course, sniffing that out before it becomes a major issue for Labour. And of course, the Guardian newspaper, Guardian of London, reporting armed forces evacuate UK embassy staff from Sudan. While the Daily Telegraph is reporting UK citizens abandoned amid feeble response to Sudan crisis. Of course, concern in cabinet as foreign office accused of failing to learn lessons from the bungled Kabul evacuation. Of course, UK also complaining about the foreign office abandoning citizens.
Yes.
Ruben, Rufai, and Ayo.
And I think the thing is, there should be a big shame on the UK for this, because they bungled it entirely. And I'm happy they talked about Kabul, they didn't learn from that. And what I'll expatiate with my few points. It was just over the weekend that they called the Cobra meeting to a war that, as at the 8th of April, was already on full swing. So they waited for a while and nothing happened.
Somebody dropping the ball there.
They dropped the ball entirely, and it's a replica of what the Tory government do. They normally drop the ball. Just like we in Nigeria too, we are not any better. We have constantly dropped the ball, let down the students. We didn't even learn from what happened in Ukraine. This was how we had to shout and people had to, intervene personally. I don't like vainglory, but I know the role I played in that as regards the Ukrainian case. And we now have to depend on the goodwill of Nigerians to be able to airlift them. Kudos to Maxair and Airpeace and other airlines that did a yeoman's job as regards that. We can't keep doing this to our people. We need to be able to be proactive and take action, because what is the pride of being a Nigerian when you're in a conflict and your country can't save you? And that's why we must do better. And please, I would like to call on all well-meaning Nigerians. Just the milk of human kindness in all of you should speak now. Just like you rally round for the Nigerian students out there in Ukraine, it's time to set up funds, rally round for them. At least let's get contact with the students in Ukraine and see what we can do from them.
In Sudan.
In Sudan, beg your pardon. Because we are all Nigerians in the first place. And concerning all the papers just show the litany of failures we've had in this administration. And I've been meaning to reply to this. President Buhari said we should forgive him. Forgive him for what? Did he know when he was doing it that he's committing grave offense against Nigerians? That time, our mouths, they smell, Abi. Now you are begging for our forgiveness for the same promises you made that you didn't fulfill. We'll forgive you, yes, because we have a mind of God. But you should check your conscience. You took us on a journey ride of high, promised us high heavens. Midway, a lot of the promises were not kept.
But the president has done his best. He does that his best was not good enough.
Best? Anyway, a child that scores F9 will say he did his best too.
Except that child will have an opportunity to repeat. But
no,
Buhari has no opportunity to
but
repeat.
This one, they are
he's going to rest
on trial.
Ruben, Sudan.
Yes.
On Sudan. The Minister of Foreign Affairs,
Geoffrey
Onyama, has said that the Nigerian government will begin evacuation of Nigerians from Sudan. The question to raise here is that with regard to Nigeria, are we acting rather late? Japan, Tanzania, the US, other countries, having Saudi Arabia, they've been more successful in evacuating their nationals from that crisis-torn Sudan, a country that is clearly on the brink of civil war. What I do not understand in the Nigerian case is the Minister of Foreign Affairs saying, they are seeking the authorization of the Sudanese authorities, the government. Well, is there still a government in place in Sudan? Where two generals, General Al-Buhan and General Dagalo, are determined to destroy the country and destroy the people of Sudan. So what I think that the Nigerian government needs to do, we're told there are about 5,500 Nigerians in Sudan. The register that was opened by the embassy, over 1,262 persons signed that they were willing to be evacuated as of last week. That number has since increased. So it's for the Nigerian government to act swiftly. We're told that the Nigerian government is talking to the Egyptians to see how Nigerians can be evacuated by road, because already the Sudanese airspace is closed. Okay? The government has a responsibility under the rubric of what is called citizen diplomacy to look out for any Nigerian, anywhere in the world, that is in distress. And I think that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Nigeria Diaspora Commission can learn from the example of those countries, Japan, Uganda, Tanzania, Saudi Arabia, that have managed to pull their people out of Khartoum, which is the center of the crisis. So this is very important. We don't expect that later this week that the Nigerian government will continue to give us excuses. What they have established is that evacuation is only possible by road. Port Sudan is closed. The border with Ethiopia is closed. But how about the border with Chad? Sudan is surrounded with 7 neighboring countries. Wherever is the escape route, those Nigerians who are stranded there Most of them, 80% out of the 5,500 are students. You know, they deserve to be helped, and swiftly, too. Enough of all these press statements. We are going to start tomorrow. We are talking to Egypt. No. This is about humanitarian crisis.
Can I
Thank
just
you very
make a
much.
quick comment on Diane Abbott? I thought that's really important because Diane Abbott made a statement that's been seen as being anti-racist in terms of the fact that she said that Jewish people, travelers, are not or have not gone through the same racism experience as black people have. She's been suspended by the Labour Party in the UK, but just to mention that she's a woman who is really respected in the black and minority ethnic space in the UK. She's been an MP since 1987, representing Hackney North and Stoke Newington. And she is the first black British woman to be elected to the parliament. And so for her to have to go through this in terms of her statement, also talks about the power of responsibility, especially when you're entrusted with the people's mandate. Very unfortunate, but she sits suspended.
Thank you very much, Joanna.